He's still here. We don't have to worry. And they'd calm back down and go back to grazing. I believe our shepherd has a staff too. And he knows us well enough to know those days when we need an extra awareness of him in our lives. And he takes that staff and he places it right up against us, walking along beside us. Maybe it's a spoken word. Maybe it's something we read in his word or whatever else we might be reading. Maybe it's an encouraging word from someone or on the computer or snail mail. Something that lets us know. That lets us know God's right there. He's not going anywhere. He's watching over us. He's taking care of us. And those days that we're focused on what we're supposed to be doing, headed in the right direction, but something comes along and startles us, and we go, God, where are you? He's going to put something there that says, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm walking right here beside you, watching over you, taking care of you. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Well, what about the rod? The rod was a little sapling tree that the shepherd had gone out. He hunted until he found just exactly the one he wanted. He dug the whole thing up, roots and all, and then he'd take that root and round them off nice and round, smooth them out. Then he'd take the whole thing and he'd cut them off so they were about 3 feet long, and he'd take the other end and he would shape it to fit his hand. And they say that those shepherds got so skilled in throwing that rod, they could throw it with such velocity that whatever they aimed at, they usually killed. Because they were usually aiming at the predators, the bears and lions and wolves that were attacking their sheep. So that rod was a weapon in their hands. It was a source of protection for those sheep. But it was also a source of discipline for those sheep. Because as they stood there watching over their flock, if they noticed one that was wandering off over there on the edge, they'd take that rod and they'd fling it at that sheep. But they didn't aim directly for the sheep. They would make that rod land right in front of that sheep, and so when it landed, it startled it, and it would turn it back in the direction that it was supposed to be going, back towards the flock. A source of protection and a source of discipline. Again, I believe our shepherd has a rod. And he knows when the enemy is attacking. And he will throw something in his pathway to ward him off. Sometimes I believe we are fully aware of the attack of the enemy. And other times I think we have no idea at all. But we can be assured that our good shepherd, Jesus, always knows. And he's right there watching over us and protecting us. But you see, it also says in God's word that if we're his child, we're one of his sheep, he's going to discipline us. And when we get to wandering off in directions that we ought not to be going, he's going to throw something in our pathway to get our attention. Hey, you're going the wrong way, turn around. Go back the other direction, back where you're supposed to be. Watching over us and protecting us, disciplining us when we need it. David said, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Do you get a picture of anything? Ah, that cross. Now our comfort's not in the cross, but in the good shepherd that died on the cross for us. And he watches over us and he protects us. Now, the shepherds, back in Bible times, they did everything that they could possibly do to make sure that their sheep were well taken care of, had the best food. They protected them. Sometimes in the course of that protection, they would almost lose their lives. Our good shepherd, he does a much better job than they ever thought about doing. Watching over us, providing for us, protecting us. And you see, not only did he come close to laying down his life for us, he did lay down his life for us.
Walking down the street to Jerusalem, the time had come to worship again. My 2 young sons walked beside me on the road. The reason they'd come was to watch the Lamb. Oh, Daddy, Daddy, what will we see there? There's so much yet we don't understand. So I told him of Moses and Father Abraham. And then I said, dear children, watch the Lamb. There will be so many in Jerusalem today. We must make sure that the Lamb doesn't run away. So I told them of Moses and Father Abraham. And then I said, dear children, watch the Lamb. When we reached 17, I knew something must be wrong. There were no joyful worshipers, no joyful worship songs. I stood there with my children in the midst of angry men. And then I heard the crowd cry out, crucify him. Where we tried to leave the city, but could not get away. Forced to play a part in this drama, a part I did not wish to play. Why upon this day were men condemned to die? Why were we standing here where soon they would pass by? I looked and then I said, even now they come. The first one cried for mercy, oh, but the people gave him none. The second one was violent. He was arrogant and loud. Why, I can still hear his angry voice just screaming at the crowd. Then someone said, there's Jesus, and I scarce believe my eyes. A man so badly beaten that he barely looked alive. Blood poured from his body, from the thorns upon his brow. He was running down the cross and falling on the ground. I watched him as he struggled. I watched him as he fell. The cross came down upon his back. The crowd began to yell. In that moment I felt such agony. In that moment I felt such loss. Until that Roman soldier, he grabbed my arm and he screamed, you carry his cross. At first I tried to resist him, then his hand reached for his sword. So I knelt and took the cross. I took it from the Lord. I placed it on my shoulder and started down the street. And the blood that he'd been shedding was running down my cheek. They led us to Golgotha, drove nails deep into his hands, and yet on the cross I heard him say, Father, forgive them. Never have I seen such love in any other eyes. To thy hands I commit my spirit. He prayed, then he died. I stood for what seemed like years. I lost all sense of time until I felt two tiny hands holding close to mine. My children stood there weeping. I heard the oldest say, Father, please forgive us. The lamb ran away. Oh, Daddy, Daddy, what have we seen here? There's so much that we don't understand. So I took them in my arms. We turned and faced the cross. And then I said, dear children, watch the